So when I was a sophomore in high school, I had this teacher who would only let the students in her class use the restroom one time per semester. Well, one day I raised my hand and I was like, excuse me, I don't remember her name, can I please use the restroom? And she was like, no, you can't because you've already used the restroom in my class this semester. Well, excuse me, you can't dictate my bladder. So I'm like all frustrated, and I started secretly texting my mom because I wasn't allowed to use my phone in class. And I was like, Mom, I'm sitting in class right now, my teacher won't let me use the restroom. And she was like, I'll take care of it for you. And I was like, okay. So like 5 minutes goes by, and all of a sudden my teacher's phone starts ringing, and she walks up to it and answers it, and she's like, hello? Yeah. Okay, thank you. And then she walks up to me like so angry, and she like slams the pass on my desk, and she was like, since you have to go that bad. And I was like, yeah, I really do, thanks. And I got up and left. I didn't even have to go to the bathroom. It was just the principle of it. I just roamed the halls.
Put a finger down if you go and meet your friend for dinner one night and you get there before her. So you walk up and tell the hostess that there's gonna be two of you, and you give her your last name. Then you go and sit down, and while you're waiting for your table, this random girl walks up to you and is like, hey, I heard you say your last name. Do you know blank? And you're like, yeah, that's my dad. And she's like, that's my dad. And you look at her like she's the craziest person you've ever seen in your life. So she pulls out her phone and in fact shows you pictures of your dad at every holiday, graduation, family function that has ever happened in her life. And that was the day you found out that your dad had a secret family. And then you had to be the one to break the news to your mom.
Extremely toxic best friend story time. So when I was in 8th grade, there was this boy. And this boy would go around telling almost every girl that he liked her. And I was one of those girls. And he would do stuff with all of us. And there were like 11 of us. So we all hated each other. Especially this one girl, and we're gonna call her Abby. And every time we saw each other, we would be super mean to each other. Well, a year passed, we stopped talking to this kid, and I bumped into her at homecoming and basically apologized. So after that, we became best friends. And everything was good until every time I told her about a guy, she would start talking to them. Like this one boy that I was Snapchatting and talking to, she accidentally sent nudes to him and said, oh, sorry, I meant to send them to my boyfriend. So then she called one of my other best friends and said, no, it actually wasn't an accident. And of course he told me because he was my best friend. So I was like, whatever, and stopped talking to the boy. And she did it again, like for part 2.
Whenever somebody asks me how I got so good at makeup, I just tell them about the time that my mom put me in solitary confinement for 2.5 months with no phone, radio, TV, computer, nothing like that. I couldn't even eat dinner with my family. They put cameras outside my room so that I couldn't leave without them knowing. I had to call on the intercom to ask to use the bathroom. But my mom gave me a curling iron, a straightener, and a crap ton of makeup to keep myself busy. And then she told everybody she knew that I tried to kill myself, and that's why she had to put me in solitary confinement. So when I went back to school that fall, I had a lot of explaining to do to my friends about why I had been missing for the last 2.5 months with no contact, but at least I came out kinda hot.
I'm gonna tell y'all about the time I was toxic. Story time. So let me throw it back to the time me and my boyfriend started dating. I was crazy in love. Emphasis on the crazy part. Well, anyways, one day we made plans to hang out, and I was supposed to drive to his house after work. So I get off work and I realize that he hasn't messaged me in 5 hours, which isn't something he normally does. So I started freaking out. And not gonna lie, at the time, I had my speculations about a couple girls. So I messaged him, hey, I just got off work. And I waited about 30 minutes and still nothing. So that's when I said, I'ma head out. And I drove to his house. Keep in mind, at the time, he lived an hour away from me. So I drove to his house, and tell me why, on the way there, my car breaks down. Like my car was literally smoking. But the good news is I was only like 2 minutes away from his house. So I park at this nearby Starbucks, and I start running to his house. The very first thing I did when I got to his house was look through his window. Yes, I told you guys I was crazy. Part 2 is gonna be embarrassing.
One day my mom grounded me, which means I didn't have my phone, so I didn't have an alarm clock, so I overslept for school the next day. My brother drives me to school, and since I didn't have a phone, I didn't know that there was no school because of a snowstorm. Me and my brothers, both being dumbasses, don't see that there's no cars in the parking lot, so my brother drops me off and speeds away. I'm knocking on the door for like 20 minutes waiting for them to let me in. Nobody opens the door, bro. I'm like, is there no school today? Boom, it starts to snow, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm wearing ripped jeans with no jacket. I'm like, oh shit, what do we do now? I live like 15 minutes driving from the school. So I'm walking around looking if I can use somebody's phone. I knock on this lady's door. She opens up and I'm like, ma'am, can I please use your phone? I think she had dementia because she started screaming at me. And she's like, no, slams the door in my face. I finally find an angel like 2 streets down. And she's like, oh, of course, princess, come inside. And in my mind, I'm like, I've seen the horror movies. Thank you, ma'am, but I'm just going to stay outside. I call my mom to pick me up. And she's like, pick you up from where? I'm like, I don't know. I've been walking for 2 hours, bro.
My daughter Savannah is the CEO of faking illness to get out of school. So when she does not feel like being there, she will go to the nurse's office and complain to them that she is really not feeling good so that they call me and I have to go get her. Well, one day after this happens, I walk into the administrative office and everybody is really concerned because Savannah is sitting in a chair like so dramatically like, hi, Mom. And like when I saw her, I burst out laughing. I was like, oh my God, are you okay? And everybody looked at me like I was some really bad mom. Like, oh my God, why aren't you more concerned? But as we were walking out, she was walking really slow and actually didn't look good. So even I was a little concerned. I was like, oh my God, honey, are you okay? Until we got to the car when Savannah looks at me and goes, you know what, Mom? I feel better now. And I was like, Savannah, are you serious? And she's like, Mom, do you maybe want to go to Starbucks and have like a girls' day? And I was like, honey, what kind of question is that? You know I do.
So my friend's coworker went on a Tinder date with a guy and it went super well and they went on 3 more dates. And after the 3rd date, he asked her to come over so he could cook for her and she was super excited. And so she went to his house and he cooked her dinner and the date went great. But after she ate, she started to feel really sick. And she said, where's your bathroom? And he ran to the bathroom and he said, you can't come in here. It's very dirty. I have to clean it before you come in here. And he was in there a really long time. And she ended up shitting her pants. And he came out of the bathroom and he said, did you shit your pants? And she said, yes, I shit my pants. And so he was so understanding and he said, it's okay, take a shower. Give me your laundry, I will do your laundry. Give me your dirty clothes. So she did, she rolled them up, she gave him her dirty pants. And she got in the shower and she took a shower and he knocked on the door to check on her after her shower. And she opened the door to say thank you. And he was standing there covered head to toe, naked with her shit smeared on him.
This is why you should always trust your gut. In the 1970s, a young couple decided to go for a late-night hike in the woods. A couple minutes into their walk, and the man remembers thinking something's not right. He tells his girlfriend, but they just decide to ignore it and keep going, until he steps on something that felt really soft, like it was alive. Before he has a chance to see what he stepped on, they hear all this rustling in the bushes next to them and they bolt. Years later, that couple turns on the TV and a death row inmate who's about to be executed is being interviewed. And they ask him, was there ever a time that you were almost caught red-handed? He responded, yes, one time. I was in the woods and a couple walked through and the man actually stepped on the body of a girl I had just killed. I was hiding in the bushes just a few feet away. They didn't see me. That couple had run into one of the worst serial killers of all time, Ted Bundy. This is why you should always trust your parents. In 1990, a father and his 15-year-old son worked together at a gas station in Florida. One night, the boy was sitting outside on a break when he saw a crazy-looking woman walking towards the store. They were in a high-crime area and it was very late, so the boy turns around to look through the glass at his dad to see what he should do. His dad took one look at the woman and just shook his head, no, do not help her. The woman walks up to the boy and says, hey, my car's broken down, can you give me a ride? Before the boy can answer, his dad bursts outside and says, you need to leave here immediately. Angrily, the woman turns and leaves, cussing them both out the whole way. 1 year later, the boy's in his room at home when his dad calls from the other room and says, you gotta come in here and look at the TV. On the screen was the same woman from the gas station. Better known as Eileen Wuornos, she was a serial killer who used to pick up her male victims at gas stations in Florida. She was later put to death.
This is a crazy story time of when I used to work at Tilly's, so buckle up. This middle-aged mom walks in the store, right? And she just starts walking around the men's section and literally just grabbing everything she sees. I mean, she's not even looking at the sizes. So we thought that was weird, so we went up and asked her if she needs any help, and of course she said no. Then she decides that she wants to try everything on. So I unlocked a room for her, and then I told her that she can only have 7 at a time, and she literally had a million things, and she just ran in, shut the door, and cut me off. So we started to get suspicious, so I started talking over my little headset thingy and telling the people around the store what's going on. We knocked on the door like 3 times asking if she needed help or needed any other sizes, and of course she just said no again. Then she comes barging out and literally runs to the front door and just leaves. So I walk in to see, and there's literally a bloody tampon on the floor. 2 days later, she comes back to the store